What's up, guys? This is Mr. Eldridge, and in today's lesson, we're going to look at the influence of two famous Virginians, George Mason and Thomas Jefferson. George Mason was a planter, politician, and delegate to the Constitutional Convention, one of three delegates who refused to sign the Constitution. His writings included substantial portions of the Fairfax Resolves of 1774, the Virginia Declaration of Rights of 1776, and his objections to the Constitution government of 1777, opposing ratification and exercising a significant influence on political thought and events. The Virginia Declaration of Rights, which Mason principally authored, served as a basis for the United States Bill of Rights, of which he has been deemed the father. There are also arguments towards having James Madison as the father of the Bill of Rights as well, because he is the one that introduced them into Congress as an amendment to the Constitution in 1791. George Mason is referred to as the reluctant founder or statesman. He was bored by legislative routines. He disliked committee work. He also shunned political office whenever possible. Now, Thomas Jefferson, on the other hand, was a statesman, diplomat, lawyer, architect, philosopher, and founding father who served as the third president of the United States from 1801 to 1809. He previously had served as the second vice president under John Adams's administration from 1797 to 1801. He was one of the authors of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson is regarded as a leading spokesman for democracy and republicanism in the era of the Enlightenment. Some modern scholarship has been critical of Jefferson, finding a contradiction between his ownership and trading of many slaves at the Monticello, but also his famous line that all men are created equal. George Mason also owned many slaves as well. In Fairfax County, Virginia, only George Washington owned more, and Mason is not known to have freed any, even in his will, in which his slaves were divided among his children. He hated slavery, though, and thought it was wrong and favored abolitionism through a plan of compensation and gradual emancipation. As tensions grew between Britain and the American colonies, Mason came to support the colonial side, using his knowledge and experience to help the revolutionary cause, finding ways to work around the Stamp Act of 1765, and serving in the pro-independence 4th Virginia Convention in 1775 and the 5th Virginia Convention in 1776. During the Revolutionary War, he refused to serve in the Continental Congress in Philadelphia, citing health and family commitments to the irritation of Washington and other Virginians especially. So let's talk about this Virginia Declaration of Rights. The Virginia Declaration opened with the following words. It says that all men are by nature equally free and independent and have certain inherent rights, of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot, by any compact, deprive or divest their posterity, namely, the enjoyment of life and liberty with the means of acquiring, possessing property, and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. The Virginia Declaration of Rights asserted that all men are equally entitled to their free exercise of religion. And so that religion, or the duty which we owe to our Creator and the manner of discharging it, can be directed only by reason and conviction, not by force or violence. These provisions established a groundbreaking principle of freedom of religion and conscience. The ideas contained in the Virginia Declaration of Rights significantly influenced the drafting of the United States Constitution and notably the Bill of Rights. Thomas Jefferson drew inspiration from the Declaration's language when crafting the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom in 1777, which later became a foundation for the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Thus, the Virginia Declaration of Rights played a crucial role in shaping the concept of religious freedom in America and laid the groundwork for its enshrinement in the Bill of Rights. In regards to the freedom of the press, George Mason believed that newspapers should be able to print the truth and should not be controlled by the government. Mason wrote in the Virginia Declaration that freedom of the press is, quote, a bulwark of liberty. As to a trial by jury, in the Fairfax Resolves, he wrote that the colonists were entitled to all of the rights, immunities, and privileges which are enjoyed by those who live within the realm of England. The colonists are not a conquered people, he would say. He said that people cannot be governed by laws for which they have not given their consent. Mason firmly believed that even people who broke the law should have rights in accordance to due process. Another significant contribution was the assertion that, quote, the excessive bail ought not to be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. This provision highlighted the importance of protecting individuals from harsh and unjust treatment by the government. The ideas expressed in Mason's declaration later influenced the drafting of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The Eighth Amendment of the United States Constitution, ratified in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, echoed the language of the Virginia Declaration of Rights by prohibiting the imposition of excessive bail, fines, and cruel or unusual punishment. George Mason's Virginia Declaration of Rights emphasized the necessity of a well-regulated militia, composed of citizens capable of defending their community and the state. The recognition of the importance of an armed citizenry in safeguarding freedom influenced the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. Ratified in 1791, the Second Amendment echoes Mason's sentiment, stating that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Mason's insight into the role of a well-regulated militia as a counterbalance to the potential government tyranny became a fundamental element of the Constitution. So next, let's talk about the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom. It was written in 1777 by Thomas Jefferson. It was enacted in state law in 1786. It disestablished the Church of England in Virginia and guaranteed freedom of religion to people of all religious beliefs. It could be passed in Virginia because dissenting sects there, Baptist, Presbyterians, Methodists, had petitioned strongly during the preceding decade for religious liberty. Thomas Jefferson's Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom firmly asserted the separation of church and state, emphasizing that no individual should be compelled to support or participate in any particular religious institution. Jefferson's statute became a powerful expression of the Enlightenment values of religious tolerance and individual liberty. This vision of safeguarding citizens from government interference in matters of faith resonated deeply with the framers of the United States Constitution. The principles articulated in the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom provided a strong foundation for the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment to the United States Constitution that was ratified in 1791. The Establishment Clause ensures that the government cannot establish a state religion or interfere with the free exercise of religion, embodying the same spirit of separation that Jefferson championed in his statute. Jefferson's statute, with its emphasis on religious freedom and the prevention of government detanglement in matters of belief, served as a key inspiration for the inclusion of the Establishment Clause into the Bill of Rights. The Virginia Declaration of Rights, adopted in 1776, articulated key principles of individual liberty and protection against government overreach, including freedom of the press, the right to a fair trial, and the prohibition of excessive fines and cruel punishments. Similarly, the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, enacted in 1786, emphasized the separation of church and state, established the freedom of individual religious liberty. These foundational documents, rooted in the Enlightenment ideals of personal freedoms and limited government, significantly influenced the framing of the Bill of Rights, which was added to the United States Constitution. The rights and principles enshrined in the Virginia Declaration of Rights and the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom found their way into the First Amendment and other amendments of the Bill of Rights, shaping the bedrock of American constitutional protections. Thank you so much for paying attention to this video. If you have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do that right now. Thanks so much. Have a great day.